Hi, Miss Marion here. We're going to go ahead and go over Unit 3, Lesson 10. Go ahead and go back to page 139. Read the I can statements so I can describe a line precisely enough that another student can draw it. I can calculate positive and negative slopes given 2 points on the line. Go ahead and give yourself a sentence on how you feel about that, and also give your number. 1, I don't remember. 2, I kind of remember. 3, I remember, but don't ask me to teach it. And then 4, I know it and I could teach it to my friend. Go ahead and do your sentence and your number. Now, since you have done your sentence and your number, for this lesson, you will need an extra page as to go ahead and do one of the activities that we have. It's not in your workbook. You'll need to go into the top part of my Canvas lesson page for lesson 10, and go ahead and print out the resources needed. It's a document, and you will need this to go ahead and do a couple of the things for today. So make sure you go ahead and print that out. So by the end of today, you'll be able to create a graph of a line using a verbal description of its features. You'll be able to describe orally the graph of a line using formal or informal language, precisely enough to identify a unique line. And you're going to be able to generate a method to find the slope values given 2 points on the line. So these are our goals, and you should be able to do this by the end of this lesson. Let's go ahead and turn to page 91 and go ahead and answer the question. Find values for A and B that make each side have the same value. So go ahead and pause and go ahead and answer those questions. So let's go ahead and go through these and find some answers for it. So personally, for number 1, I said that A can equal 6 and B can equal -3. Because if we go to 6 divided by -3, we get a -2. And it also, for number 2, we know that we can do 6 divided by 3 and get 2. How about we do A is -6, B is -3. That still gives me -6 divided by -3 is a +2. So those are some answers on there. And then for number 3 is a little bit different. We want to go ahead and put some numbers in. So let's do A is 6 and B is 8. So if I do 6 minus 8, I get a -2. Your answers can be different. These are just things that are kind of getting us thinking about numbers and adding positive and negative numbers and dividing those and understanding kind of what's going on there. So on the bottom of your page of 91, these are not there, but we're going to go ahead and kind of walk through some slopes because we're going to need to know how to do slopes through 2 points. And so let's go ahead and figure out the slope that passes through each pair of points. And so go ahead and pause right now and find those slopes. So now, since you have tried it yourself, let's go ahead and do it together. So remember that we can go ahead and we can subtract our y's and then subtract our x's. So pretty much we have like x1, y1, and then we have another point. We have x2, y2. And so let's go ahead and subtract our y's. So we're going to say 1 minus 4 all divided by 7 minus 12. So notice how I went ahead and subtracted our x's and then I subtracted our y's. Does it matter which number that we go ahead and start with? No, it doesn't matter. As long as we reduce down our fraction as much as possible, we'll get the same number. So let's go ahead and do 1 minus 4. 1 minus 4 is -3. Let's do 7 minus 12. 7 minus 12 is -5. And so if we go ahead, remember that if we have a negative divided by a negative, our final answer is going to be a +3/5. So that's the slope for number 1. Let's go ahead and do number 2. So number 2, again, we're going to go ahead and subtract off our y's. So we're going to say -8, subtract a -11, all over 7 subtract 4. So negative 8 subtract 11. Put it in exactly how it looks. So negative 8 subtract a negative 11 is actually a positive 3. 7 minus 4 is also 3. 3 divided by 3 reduces down to 1 over 1, or we also know it as 1 for the slope. Let's go ahead and do number 3. Number 3, we're going to have, again, we're going to start off our y's first. So we're going to say 3 subtract 2 all over 600 subtract 1. So let's do 3 subtract 2. 3 subtract 2 is 1. 600 minus 1 is 599. Slope for number 3 is 1 over 599. So let's go ahead and do number 4. So with number 4, we're going to subtract off our y's. We're going to say 33 subtract 40 all over 30, because that's our x's. So 30 subtract 37. So 33 subtract 40 is negative 7. 30 minus 37 is also negative 7. Negative 7 divided by negative 7 is 1 over 1. We also know that as just 1. So here are your slopes for these points. And again, we need to know this information for later on for an activity for today. All right, go ahead and turn to page 92. On page 92, we see a graph. We also have numbers 1, 2, and 3. So number 1, and we're going to go ahead and answer all these questions together. So number 1, plot the points 1, 11 and 8, 2, and use a ruler to draw the line that passes through them. Then do number 2, without calculating, do you expect the slope of the line through 1, 11 and 8, 2 to be positive or negative? How can you tell? And then go ahead and calculate that slope. So go ahead and pause right now, work through numbers 1, 2, and 3, and then come back and we'll do it together. Now, since you've been able to go ahead and do numbers 1, 2, and 3, let's do them together. So our point is 1, 11, so that's up here. And our second point is 8, 2. That's down here. And then we were asked to go ahead and draw a line in between the two, like this. So looking at it, we've been asked to go ahead and kind of talk about the slope. So just looking at itself, this slope is going to be negative. How can I tell? Well, if we read it from left to right, so left to right, this is going down the hill. Anytime it's going to go ahead and go down the hill, our slope is going to be negative. And then let's go ahead and let's find our slope. To be able to go ahead and find our slope, we're going to go ahead and subtract off our y's. So we are going to say 11 subtract 2 all over. Now we're going to subtract off our x's. We are going to say 1 subtract off 8. And if we do this, we're going to go ahead and find our slope. So 11 minus 2 is 9. We'll do that in black. So equals 9. 1 subtract 8 is negative 7. So right now our slope is 9 divided by negative 7. But mathematicians and also some calculators don't like that negative in the bottom part of our fraction. So we're going to actually get it, kind of put it up on the top. We're going to say negative 9 subtract 7. These two things, they mean exactly the same thing, but sometimes with some of our calculators, if we put a negative in on the bottom part of a slope as a fraction, the calculators don't know what to do with it. So I always give my negative to the top person and then the positive down on the bottom. So So we're going to have it as negative 9 divided by 7. So that is our slope. So on page 92 also, let's go ahead and do the are you ready for more? What it's asking is it says find the value of k so that the line passing through each of the pair of points has a given slope. So if we actually set up our slope, kind of like with our slope formula that we've been doing, where we subtract off the y's and then we subtract off the x's equals our slope, we can actually go ahead and solve for our k. So go ahead and pause right now and go ahead and find the k number for numbers 1 through 5. Don't do 5. All right, now since you have tried it, let's go ahead and go through it ourselves. So we're going to go ahead, let's first of all set up our information. So we're going to say 14 minus 2 all over 11 minus, and then k. And then all of this is going to equal our slope. So let's go ahead and let's do 14 minus 2. What is 14 minus 2? Well, 14 minus 2 is 12. 11 minus k, we are going to have to keep it that way, and then we're going to say equals 2. So let's think about it. And we know we're going to have a number. We're going to take 12 and we're going to divide it by something, and that final answer is going to be 2. So I know that if I do 12 divided by 6 is 2. So what number do I need to put in as 11 minus something equals 6? Because I really want it as 12 divided by 6, and eventually we're going to get that 2 kind of here. And so if I think about it, I'm like, okay, if I do 12 and I do 11 minus, and I'm going to put 5 in there. What is 11 minus 5? Well, 11 minus 5 is that 6 that I'm looking for. So our key number that we're looking for is 5. Let's go ahead and go through number 2. Number 2, again, we're going to set it up the same way. We're going to say 1 minus, and then here, up here, we're going to have our k all over 4 minus 1. And that whole thing is going to equal a negative 2. So 1 minus k stays the same. Okay, 1 minus k. And then 4 minus 1 is 3. So again, I need a number that will go in for k, that if eventually I'm going to divide it by 3, it's going to equal negative 2. So let's kind of think about it. So I need a number that I can go ahead and take it, divide it by 3, and eventually that number is going to equal negative 2. Well, if I think about it, my k number that I can actually stick in there is 7. Because if I do 1 minus 7, that's going to be negative 6. Negative 6 divided by 3, that's negative 2. Awesome. All right, so let's go ahead and let's try number 3. So number 3, we are going to say 9 minus 5. And then we're going to have k minus 3. And then all of that is going to be 1/2. So if I do 9 minus 5, put it in your calculator, 9 minus 5, we have 4. So kind of like this way. So then we're going to have 4 over k minus 3. And eventually it's going to be 1/2. So, I know if I have a number on the top and eventually I'm going to reduce it down and it will eventually be 1/2. If I do 4 over 8, 4 over 8, I know if I take that and I reduce it down, it will reduce down to 1/2. Okay, so then that means I need to put a number in for k so that the bottom part is going to be 8. Okay, so what number could I actually go ahead and put in there? Oh, I know. Let's try 11. If I do 11 minus 3, that makes that bottom part 8. So if I have k as 11, then that would actually work. Because if I do 11 minus 3, eventually I get 4 over 8. which will reduce down to 1 over 2. All right, let's go on to number 4. Number 4, let's do the same thing. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to have, this time the k is the first. So k minus 4 all over negative 3 minus, and then we're going to have negative 1. And then that's going to equal negative 1/2. So 3, let's try it. 3 minus a negative 1 is going to go ahead and equal to negative 2. So all of this over here is going to be, so k minus 4, negative 2, and then we have a negative 1/2. So I can kind of think about this as actually, we can kind of do it as the 2 is going to be the negative, right? Because as long as one of the numbers in the fraction is negative, the whole entire thing is negative. And then I need a number minus off 4 will equal 1. Let's think about it. So if I do 5 minus 4, that will equal 1. So our k number is going to be 5, and this is number 4. Unfortunately, number 5 is actually set up wrong. That is the reason why I went ahead and crossed this out. And it doesn't work. If you want to know the reasons why, I can go ahead and explain it later on. I just don't want to confuse everyone. So right now, we're just going to skip number 5 and kind of go on and move on. All right, so here is the piece of paper that you needed to go ahead and print out from the top part of the page. And so we have this piece of paper, and I will be giving you information to go ahead and graph on that graph itself. And so I'll give you some stuff, and you're going to go ahead and graph some things, and then I'll show you what the answer is supposed to look like. So go ahead and graph line A. Line A, the vertical intercept is positive 5. It has a positive slope, and the slope is 1/3. So pause right now and graph it. Here is line B. Line B is the vertical intercept is positive 3. It is parallel to line A, has a positive slope, and the slope is positive 1/3. Go ahead and graph line B and label it line B. Here is line C. The vertical intercept is positive 1. It is parallel to line A. It has a positive slope, and the positive slope is positive 1/3. Graph your line and label it line C. So go ahead and pause. Here is line D. Line D, the vertical intercept is negative 1. It has a negative slope, and the slope is negative 1/3. Go ahead and graph this line and then label it line D. Line E, the vertical intercept is negative 3. The line is parallel to line D. It has a negative slope, and that negative slope is negative 1/3. Go ahead and graph line E and label it line E. Line F. Line F, the vertical intercept is negative 5. The line is parallel to line D. It has a negative slope, and that negative slope is negative 1/3. Go ahead and graph this line and then label it line F. So you should have graphed all A, B, C, D, E, and F line, all of those lines, and graphed and labeled them, and your answer, your picture should look something like this. So on the back side of your page, you can see this picture here, this graph here. What you are going to do is you are going to describe line M, N, P, H, K, and L. Yeah, that is line L. And go ahead and describe them just like I did. Tell us what the vertical intercept is. Tell us if it has a positive or negative slope, what the slope will be, and any other characteristics you think that it actually needs. So go ahead and pause right now. Go ahead and go through that, and then I'll give you the answers of what they should be. Here are the answers as far as line M, N, P, H, K, and L. So line M, it has a negative slope. Slope is negative 3/4. Vertical intercept is positive 3. Line N, as in Nancy, has a negative slope. Slope is negative 2 over 5. Vertical intercept is positive 2. Line P, as in Paul, has a negative slope. Slope is negative 1 over 6. Vertical intercept is positive 1. Line H, as in Henry, has a negative slope. Slope is negative 1 over 1. Vertical intercept is positive 6. Line K has a negative slope. Slope is negative 5 over 2. Vertical intercept is positive 6. And the line L, as in Leonard, has a negative slope. The slope is negative 4 over 3. Vertical intercept is positive. That should actually be positive 4. So these are the answers that you should have as far as explaining the different lines. So this activity helped us understand, like if I gave you information verbally, you'll be able to go ahead and graph it. And then you are able to go ahead and give information back as far as graphs themselves. What's the slope? Is it positive, negative? Where's the vertical intercept? And that somebody else will be able to go ahead and graph that. And you'll be able to go ahead and describe it as far as our graphs themselves. So please remember, a couple of things that we have learned today is that we can go ahead and find slopes of lines without even graphing. We can actually use that formula to subtract off the y's over subtract off the x's. That equals that slope itself. We can find a missing point if we have everything else. We've got to go ahead and done that. And then also explaining graphs and what they look like and how they're pertained to themselves. Go ahead and go back to page 139. Give yourself numbers, first of all, a sentence about the I can statements, so I can describe a line precisely enough that another student can draw it, and I can calculate positive and negative slopes given 2 points on a line. And then give yourself a number. So 1, I don't remember. 2, I kind of got it. 3, I did get it. And then 4, I can teach it to my friend. Make sure that you do the practice problems in Canvas. They are found in Canvas, so go ahead and make sure that is done for today, and I hope you have a good day. Thank you. Bye.